Thank you for Patreon now for donating to the Patreon.
Hey guys, it's Vandy as well, back at another Card Fight Vanguard deck profiles. If you guys enjoyed, don't like, comment, subscribe, and turn to the Patreon. Let's get started, shall we? Today we have Bermuda Triangle, Refiarade, Aku. I'm sorry, Refarade's rock apparently counts as a reverse. I don't think that's official. I think that just counts as its evolved form, but yeah, I wanted to say something about it. So Refiarade Rock. My least, that's somewhat of a debate, but definitely one of my least favorite cards that has come out of the collection set, and that's because I just don't like it. Like, it's not that I've gotten my ass kicked by it, like, Gravidia over and over and over and over again. No, it's just that I genuinely just do not like the card, and I don't think it's trash. But all I'm gonna say is, the words trash are like a step further than what I would use to describe it. So let's go ahead and get this started, shall we? First up, we have our starter today in Bermuda Triangle Cadet Shizuku. Grade 0 boost, 10k show, 6k base. Auto is wrote upon, draw a card, then if your opponent's Vanguard's greater 1 or greater, you get a quick show, take it to your hand. Standard V starter, nothing too special about it, you get a quick shield. You get a draw, then if you went second, basically, you get a quick shield. Easy starter to use, and no other reason not to have this because I think all the other ones are like the colorful pastel starters slash the, nope, they are just colorful pastel starters, or the duo. No, their duos don't have a starter, so yeah, just gonna go with Shizuku. Plus, I don't know, I feel like Shizuku's just the best one. Trigger-wise, on 4 draw PGs and Glitter Baby Lene. Grade 0 boost, 0 shield, 5k base, continue stand on 4 sounds on your deck, and auto guard circle and place this card from your hand when one of these cannot be until the battle. Okay, and then we run 8 crits followed by a direct shooter Pelia and a lover Hope Rina, and then we run 4 heals and a Jito Cheer Pipalea. Yes, I don't run Heal Guardians. If you want an actual explanation why, go to a video from like 5 weeks ago and you'll probably get an actual explanation. But as for right now, you will get, that just doesn't match to my playstyle. Now, in this deck, you can run 12 crits. It would be very deadly. I choose to run the draw PG because every time I play Refiarade, I just happen to run into decks that like minus power a lot or like can hit really big numbers, and a 30k shield crit trigger ain't gonna be enough to stop it on its own. So the PG comes in handy, especially in the late game. Like the very late game, that's when I'll start having 0 hand cards, and the PG actually comes in handy because that's what brings me to 0 hand cards, but it prevents me from dying. So Lene, if you want to run the crit Sentinel, you can, but I do prefer the draw PG because it has been saving me. Wait, Bermuda does have a crit Sentinel, right? I'm not going crazy. They have a crit Sentinel, right? If they don't, they don't, but I'm pretty sure they do. So yes, I do prefer the draw PG though, just because hand cards are a thing. Grade 1 time, 3 copies of Sparkling Soul and Nikita. Grade 1 boost, 10k shield, 8k base. Auto one's placed on rear guard or guard circle. Soul blast 1 or more cards, and this unit gets plus 5k power and 5k shield for each card Soul Blaster for this cost, and if you Soul Blast 3 or more, you draw a card. Okay, this deck gets Soul fairly easily, right? Yeah, wait, I don't know how, but this deck does get Soul fairly easily, or just doesn't have a Soul problem. So, Nikita is really easy to pull off for that extra 5k power or shield for whatever you need it. And the fact that you can just net yourself a draw is really nice. Downside is, if you pay the 3 or more, it is a forced draw, which means, like, in Refiarade, you can deck out really quickly, so that draw might end up screwing you over more than helping you. But a 10k shield that would at least turn into a 25k shield for that draw, and or a 23k swinger followed by an extra guarder or an extra swinger for that turn, yeah, Nikita is a really good card. I don't want to run her at 4 because if you see her too much, like I said before, she might be the death of you, but I do run her at 3 because this thing's a really good versatile card for both attack and defense. 4 copies of Mermaid Idol Sedna. If you all know, Sedna into an Aqua into another Sedna is my go-to play with Bermuda Triangles, and I cannot build a Bermuda Triangle deck without doing it. Grade 1 boost, 10k shield, 8k base, continuous Vander rearguard during your turn if another unit in the same column as it. If you have another unit in the same column as it, gets plus 5. So it can be a Vanguard, it can be a rearguard. It would be plus 5, which is really nice, and auto Vanderia when placed from hand, like a top 5, roll to 1 grade 3 from 1, then put it to your hand, shuffle your deck, and if you put a card, you gotta discard 1. Standard search ability, nothing too special about it, but except in this deck, you can pull that off really easily, because you can just bounce it back to hand with Aqua, and then call it right back, and then get more 5 searches. All around, Sedna is really good, easy to pull off for its 5k skill, and a semi-loopable look at top 5 skill, so 4 of Sedna. And then 4 copies of Reliable Faith Lusalos. Grade 1 boost, 10k shield, 8k base, our final grade 1. Continues rear guard to guard circle. If you have 2 or more force markers, this unit gets plus 5k power and 5k shield. Okay, that's almost guaranteed in this deck. Like, that's physically impossible not to have, so easy 13k power and 15k shield right there during both players' turns. And continues rear guard if you have 3 or more force markers. It can intercept from the back row. So yeah, play this deck the way it's supposed to be played, or just use Refirade's skill at all, and this thing will be a guaranteed 13k swinger or 23k swinger if you shove a force marker on it with a 15k shield and can intercept from the back row. So 4 copies of her because she can be helpful. Definitely we only have one real main grade 1 target for riding, and that's Sedna, but yeah, these two are dangerous, and Sedna is still dangerous on her own, considering like she's a constantly free +5, so 4 of Lusalos. Grade 2 time. 3 copies of Electric Essence Systico. Grade 2, intercept 5k shield, 10k base. Continues rear during your turn. If any player's rear guard was returned to hand during this turn, gets +10. So unfortunately, there's only 2 cards in this deck that can bounce stuff to hand, but if you play either of those cards, this is an immediate 20k base. Cool. And auto rear, when placed, you may put a normal unit from your drop zone to the bottom of the deck. If you put a grade 3 or greater unit, choose one of your opponent's rear guards, and it cannot stand during your opponent's next stand phase. Okay, that part of the effect has rarely helped me. In fact, it helped 1 time, and that was it. But the first part of that effect, the send a normal unit to drop. Whew, the way I play Refiarade decks out very quickly. This, on numerous occasions, have saved my ass. So Systico, while not being able to send triggers back, can prevent you from decking out on this deck, and that is really important. Can hit numbers if you are on either the backup grade 3 or backup grade 3, or if you have Aqua, so 3 copies of Systico, because she is really good in an early rush and will help you in the later game when the game's getting to the close because both players are about to deck out. 4 copies of Courteous Beauty Seria. Grade 2, intercept 5k shield, 10k base. Auto was placed on Vanguard rear guard. Discard a card from your hand, look at top 3, choose up to 1 card from among them, put it to hand, and put the rest on bottom. And it gets +5 for a ton of turn. If your opponent's Vanguard's grade 3, it gets +10 instead of +5. So discard 1 and then not counterblast or soul blast anything. Look at top 3, you get literally any card from among them and get it to hand. And then it's a guaranteed at least +5. And if they're a grade 3, it's a +10. Okay, very good. It's really good. Can be worked on Vanguard or Rearguard. Has, use on both. Can get you basically a non-costed search. And it's most likely going to be a 20k the time you place this, unless you're going grade 2 rush. And it's not a named once per turn. It's not a once per turn in general. So 4 copies of Sierra, because if you're on the back of grade 3, you can kind of loop the shit out of this. And if they give us a very certain Bermuda card, or give us a card with a very certain skill in Bermudas, yeah, then this will be abusable. Wait just a second. Oh, I thought of something interesting, and we'll get to it later, but 4 copies of Sierra, because she can be really good. 4 copies of Top Idol Aqua, who is our last grade 2, and frankly the most important grade 2, as we all know. Grade 2, intercept 5k shield, 10k base, continues Vanguard to Rearguard. During your turn, it gets +5 if you have another unit in the same column as this, so same as Sedna. You put those 2 in the same column, it's a 28k swing. And auto Vanguard to Rearguard, when placed, return up to 1 of the normal unit on your Rearguard circle to your hand. If you return a card, you draw a card and discard 1, and is a named once per turn. So you cannot spam that more than once. But at the same time, Bushy knew what chaos this can unleash, because what you can do with this is, like I said earlier, call Sedna, top 5, get a grade 3 or not. If it whiffs, which most of the time it does for me, Aqua, skill, bounce said Sedna, draw a card, discard something, then call Sedna right back, top 5, oh hey, there's a grade 3. Yeah, if it wasn't for that, Aqua would be a bit too good. So 4 of still, because even though it's a named once per turn, it can still be a 15k swinger as long as something's in its column, and considering how Refiarade works, you're most likely going to have something in its column, and the ability just to kind of make a second Sedna each turn, and or this, is really helpful. So 4 copies of Aqua. And on to grade 3s. Yep, you should have known I was still running this. I ran it back in the original Refiarade build. I'm still going to run it here because I really like Ange, and it's the sole reason, well, technically not the sole reason why I started playing Bermuda, but definitely the sole reason I started playing Bermuda in V. Grade 3, Twin Drive Force Gift, 13k base, perfect performance Ange. Auto Van, when it swings into a Vanguard, counterblast 1, choose any number of normal units on either player's rear guards and bounce them to hand, and activate all the effects according to the number of cards returned. 2 or more gets +10, okay, that was really easy to pull off, so it's 23k swing. 3 or more get a Force Gift. Okay, so semi-weaker version of a Friday because it can't get more than 1 at a time, but that's still good. And 4 or more, search after 1 unit card, call it to rear guard and show off for your deck. This doesn't have to be placed from hand. You don't stack your drive checks. If you could, that would be great, but get a search during your battle phase and, try plays. Call this. Send stuff back to bottom of decks you don't deck out during your drive check. Call Sedna just to get a +5 maybe, unless you bounce your entire column. Call Aqua because she can just be placed from anywhere, so if you still have rear guards left, use her to get more hand cards. Nikita just to also get more hand cards and to get more power out of it. Yeah, you see the point. Ange is really good in this deck as a backup grade 3. Like, yeah, 95% of the time you're going to be on Refiarade, but when push comes to shove and you're about to deck out and you need a final push that won't kill you, go Ange. Just go Ange. Ange will annihilate. Ange hard carries the end game, I tell you. And even in the early game, Ange will carry if you need her to. So 3 copies of Ange, because she can be really helpful in the scenarios you need her. I suggest having 1 copy in hand at all times, because you never know. 4 copies of the worst grade 3 in my opinion out of all 3 of them. Detonate, Singer's Refiarade Rock. Grade 3 twin drive, Force Gift, 13k base, auto hand. At the end of the battle, your rear guard swung. If you have a Vanguard Refiarade and its card name and a rear guard at rest, and all your circles with rear guards in them have a force marker on them, counterblast 2, ride this card to stand, rest all your rear guards, and move all your force markers to van. Okay, so you can get 6 attacks that turn, if you play it right, which is really nice. As long as all the units that are rested have force markers on them, but that is really easy to pull off in Refiarade, so, get 6 attacks. Vanguard is most likely going to be swinging for a 63. So, actually no, because it has force gift of its own, so probably 73, which is really nice. And, oh no, because how I do this, 83 actually, okay. And then auto van, at the end of your turn, move all your force markers on Vanguard circle and get imaginary gift force for every 2 markers removed. And there's the sad part. They had to make it so that you had to remove markers. I know they had to do it, I really understand, but I wish it was like, remove all force markers, get an imaginary gift for every 2 removed, and send a normal unit of grade 1 or less to the bottom of your deck from your drop zone, so that, you could not deck out when you eventually reride the other Refiarade, because that's inherently better to sit on, because this thing has a vanilla skill at the end of the turn. So, I prefer that, because the longer you sit on Rock, the longer it will kill you, or the faster it will kill you, so, you never want to sit on this more than a turn. 4 copies of her? Like, she is useful, because this deck doesn't counterblast that much, and I say that, and yet you spam Refiarade half the time, and Ange, but, it helps, because that 83k swing at the end of the battle really pushes the opponent to drop a lot of hand cards that turn, but, use 1 or 2 during the game, and then just use the others as PG fodder, I guess, because that's how I see Rock. And then 4 copies of the objectively better one of the 2, in both my opinion and probably the opinion of the world. No offense to anyone who loves Rock, but it's just a genuine thing. Single Quiet Refiarade. Grade 3 twin drive force gift, 13k base, act Vanguard once per turn, counterblast 1, discard 1, and rest this unit and perform one of the following, or perform all the following. If you have 4 less force markers, get 2 force gifts. So the turn you ride this, you get 3 force gifts. Cool. And the next turn, if you ride this again, you have 4 force gifts. Guess what? Because of the way it's worded, it says 4 or less, which means you can use its skill and still get 2 more, so you can hit 6 markers in one go. Bullshit with Refiarade, bullshit, I tell you. And if they give us a way to Superior Ride it, even more bullshit. Unless it was Superior Ride as rest. And then reveal the same number of cards on top of your deck as the number of rear guards with force markers and on them, put them into your hand, and activate all their trigger effects to reveal a card. Which means if you have 5 units with force markers on them, it has to be rear guards, so if you have 5 rear guards with force markers on them, you get Quintet Drive, except during your main phase. Good for your opponent, they get to plan out their guarding in advance. Oh wait, that doesn't matter when you see 5 triggers and all of them are crits, and then all of them go in the rear guards with their 4 damage. Not good for them, especially because all of them most likely have a force 1 on them. And then use Vanguard. If your opponent's Vanguard's grade 3 or good, all your grade 2 or less units with rear guards on rear guard circle with force markers on them can attack from the back row. Yeah, obviously this is a turn 2 deck where you want to go second with Refiarade so you can get multi-attack out as soon as possible, but it also works as a turn 1 deck just for setup because the first skill does not require them to be at grade 3. Refiarade is still dangerous, and I remember the one time where I didn't have Rock, I didn't have Ange, unfortunately, and I had to swing with Vanguard because if I used its skill, I would deck out, and I still won because I had used Rock earlier to set up my board and make Refiarade have a bunch of gifts. So, 4 copies of Refiarade because 5 drive checks on average every turn is really fun, followed by getting 6 gifts on second grade 3 turn, and multi-attack is a thing. So 4 of. And then our gifts, 8 Force 1s, 8 Force 2s. You are never going to use this one. Normally I make an advocate for it, but even then in this one, no, because Refiarade does so much better with power. Force 1, when it's placed or when acquired, you put it on Van or Rear, and the unit on it gets plus 10k during your turn, and it can be stacked on the same circle, and its ability stacks. So pretty much, if you have 1 on a circle, the unit gets plus 10, 3 on a circle plus 30, 6 on a circle plus 60, etc. Force 2, you can put them on the same circle. It can also go on Van or Rear when acquired, except its abilities don't stack because the original critical of the unit on there becomes 2. So basically, if it said the critical gets plus 1, then unless it said original critical gets plus 1, then yes, you could stack it, but because it says the original critical becomes 2, there's no reason to put multiple of them on the same circle. Don't pick Force 2, because once you pick the gift, you're locked into it for the match. And listen, Refiarade gets 6 attacks, okay? You can, or 5 attacks, or in this case, it can get 6 attacks, and one of them is going to be in the 80s. Just use Force 1, make your rear guards all hit for 15k drops, instead of just like 5k drops and 2 of them can be intercepts. Just use Force 1. Just do it. I mean, unless your opponent's grade locked at like grade 1 and you see the opportunity to punish them for luck, then yeah, okay, go for Force 2, but I do genuinely think Force 1 is the objectively better way, because moving like 6 Force 1s to Vanguard when you go into Ruck isn't really going to do anything for you besides make a 25k guard. Suddenly it can't hit instead of like an 83 that is now a PG to pass, or a PG to block. So yeah, pick Force 1. And our quick shield, which is when one of your units is attacked, gets plus 5k for the battle. Nothing too special about it. 5k shield that you will literally discard for the second you get the chance. Or Sedna, for that matter. Or also for that matter, Nikita, Seria. Or also for that matter, Aqua. Basically any of the main playmakers of this deck. That's what this is for, not for actual shielding. And that's it for the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. All around, a Bermuda Triangle is it's an interesting deck. I do believe that Refiarade Rock is kind of, in my opinion, a downgrade to Refiarade. The extra Vanguard swing, while appreciated, I feel it does nothing for the deck. It has helped me win a few games, but I would have won those games anyways based off of history. It's just that helped me win a turn early. So yeah, but Ange is better. Just Ange is better. Yeah, that might be biased speaking, but I think Ange is better than this right here. So I'm ending here. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, donate to the Patreon, join Discord, follow the Twitch channel. See you on the next one. Don't forget to stand up your Vanguards.